Dwayne De Rosario's season is over. Toronto out of the playoffs and Chicago into second. And MLS roster deadline day tomorrow. Next on The Daily. Hello and welcome to The Daily. It is Thursday, September 13th. I'm Andrew Wiebe. Of course, next to me, Simon Borg. And Simon, there's got to be some tears being shed in DC this morning. Some terrible news for United. Dwayne De Rosario, a Tier 3 MCL sprain, out for 10 to 12 weeks. Is his season over?
Yeah, if you look at the earliest scenario there, the 10 weeks, that would put him at third week of November. So the regular season is over, and right now that's what DC's worried about. They want to get into the playoffs. Forget about whether he can come back for the playoffs. How are they going to do this? Well, we're looking at a lot of Branko Boskovic, who's been on the bench. Let him do a lot of the playmaking, where DeRo was doing it before. And then Hamdi Salihi up top, maybe, forming a pairing with Chris Pontius. Those are the logical solutions, but I would love to see Andy Nahar get him out of that right back spot. Don't bury him at right back. Put the team on his shoulders in terms of playmaking. I think he can do a lot with the ball if you give him the reins of the team.
And of course, this injury is going to play a huge role in that MLS playoff race. DC United currently 6th in the Eastern Conference behind the Columbus Crew. They will host New England on Saturday, 7:30 p.m. on MLS Live. And while DC fight for a playoff spot, one team is certainly out of the running. Of course, San Jose was the first team to claim a spot. Toronto FC last night in their home loss to Chicago, they are now down and out.
You know, it's funny how Toronto FC being out is the bigger story when Chicago just picked up 3 away points. They're second in the East, just 3 points away from Sporting KC, who have a big game this weekend against Houston, a difficult one. So Chicago should be the story, but we're talking about Toronto. Why? 2-0 up at the break Chicago was, thanks to Toronto. In fact, Paul Mariner, after the game, on an epic rant, targeting his players, he says he told them at halftime, "You guys are the best player for Chicago." That's what he told Toronto FC. He singled out a bunch of players. He said, not enough effort, not good enough. Then Darren O'Day, Andrew, I thought that was the most telling thing. He says there were 5 or 6 guys that weren't pulling their weight.
And of course, Toronto in action this weekend against Philadelphia. That's 1 p.m. on TSN in Canada. MLS Live here in the U.S. and Chicago, looking to keep moving up the Eastern Conference table. They will take on Montreal at 8:30 p.m. on MLS Live. Lots of business being done today in MLS front offices. Tomorrow at 5 p.m., the MLS roster freeze date. All the rosters have to be in by that time. Those will be the teams that push toward MLS Cup. Of course, today, at time of taping, we still don't know where Marcus Tracy is going to end up. 8 teams in the lottery for him, Simon. But who do you think makes moves before tomorrow?
Well, we'll start with Chicago Fire. They're really flying at the moment, but they could add a very experienced ex-Mexican national team player in Guillermo Franco. He hasn't played significant minutes since the 2010 World Cup, so it would be a little bit of a surprise signing, but you never know, and an old hand like him might be able to come in handy at some point during this stretch run. The other guy, the New York Red Bulls, looking at Kaká's brother. We'll see if that is something that could potentially happen for this year, or maybe waits till next.
And of course, check MLSsoccer.com for all the news on all that roster movement and all the previews for the games ahead this weekend. Also, Extra Time Radio this afternoon, Frank Klopas is going to join us to talk about the Fire's run to second place. You can catch that on iTunes, Buzzsprout, or Stitcher Radio. That's all we have for today. We'll see you tomorrow.
Scoring phenom Fredy Montero looks to keep Seattle in the hunt for the Western Conference crown as they travel to Portland to take on scorer Chris Boyd and the Timbers. Major League Soccer, Portland versus Seattle, September 15th on NBC.